Well, hi everyone, and welcome to today's session on a smarter range of CPD packages. My name is Aaron Dunn, and I'm joined today by David Davine, who's our sales and development manager. And what we wanted to do is go through with you a range of products and topics that we have that support our ongoing CPD solutions. And ultimately, what we want to help you to identify today is how our training works, and then how that might fit into how you as a business and as an individual keep up to date with what's happening within the SMSF sector. So we'll touch a little bit on, to start with, the challenges of keeping up to date, what we are doing to assist in that process, and then we're going to really deep dive into how we deliver training, what you can expect as part of the way in which we do that training, how we actually offer that as membership subscriptions, and what changes we've made in particular in this financial year already, with the introduction of Tim Miller on as our SMSF Technical and Education Manager. We'll then jump into our learning platform on the Smarter SMSF site and just take you around that to understand how that all works and how you can naturally benefit from that education platform. And then we will go through the different types of subscriptions that we have to suit you and your business, and then finish off with a number of FAQs and key takeaways from today's session. So if you do have any questions as you go along, please feel free to ask those of us, and we'll be more than happy to try and answer as we go along. But what has been consistent for some time now is this ongoing challenge of remaining up to date. All the feedback and referencing that we've seen, and from even the surveying that we've done ourselves over time, is that this currency of knowledge remains the number one challenge for SMSF practitioners today. So that currency of knowledge comes because of the fact that we have legislation continuing to move and evolve. And we've only seen, in the past couple of months, we've seen now the finalization of the government's measures on what they intend to do around the Division 296, which is the $3 million earnings threshold tax. So we are now at an exposure draft, and the government looking to introduce those measures into Parliament probably before the end of this calendar year, with those measures to take effect from the 1st of July 2025. We've also seen currently before Parliament the proposed NALE changes and how they interact with the NALE provisions, and a number of other things that obviously keep us busy each and every day during the year. So how you keep up to date, and then how that translates within your organization, and then to be able to provide those issues and opportunities into the team and then out to your clients, is really important. So that timing of content is crucial to ensure that you can stay on top of those client relationships that you have with your SMSF clients. And that transfer of knowledge then becomes crucial as well. So are you an organization that is sending one person to a particular event, and then there's that transposition of that knowledge from that person across the organization? Or is it that you are engaging in multiple team members to be able to help you go through that process? And therefore, the question comes about, who is that trusted resource, or how are you getting that trusted resource in terms of gaining that knowledge around your SMSF clients and issues and strategies? And then how is that actually being amortized across the business, across the relevant team members, across the various skill sets of those team members as well, acknowledging that you might have anywhere from graduate level staff right through to those that have specialization within the industry. And that naturally flows on then to the CPD requirements that each of those individuals may then have within the organization, whether it's for accounting bodies, financial planning bodies, the SMSF Association, for auditor requirements and so forth. There is an ongoing requirement that we must adhere to meet our CPD obligations each and every year. So then it comes back to saying, well, why is it that people then look to choose Smarter SMSF? And a lot of what we do is about relying on that technology and the automation that we have that allows us to build solutions that help you and your SMSF clients to comply with these regulations efficiently and effectively. So we've been around for a long time. Many of you will have attended our training or seen us in some way, shape or form presenting. We are a business that now has over 200 firms accessing, whether it's documents or training subscriptions and so forth. And we've got well over 1,000 firms that access any sort of document or any sort of training on a pay-as-you-go basis. Now, we are an accredited educator with the SMSF Association, one of only 4, and this recognises through the SMSF Association the fact that our education is created and upheld in an environment that is recognised as the peak in our industry. And I guess that's also reflected in the fact that we have been shortlisted as a finalist in the SMSF education category at this year's SMSF Advisor SMSF Awards. So for us, it's all about how we can deliver the confidence to you as an outcome that ultimately enables you to focus on what you do best. So David, I don't know if you wanted to add anything around that in the conversations that you have with people that look to sign up with Smarter SMSF.
Yes, I do. Thanks, Aaron. It does go far beyond simply, I've got so many hours that I need to tick off. It goes well beyond that, because the ability to tap into both Aaron and Tim's knowledge, you've got that opportunity with the with Smarter SMSF and the CPD packages. So you may have problems, you may have issues with clients, and here's that we have all the knowledge and expertise to deliver that training to you and the knowledge to be able to apply it with those scenarios that you have with your clients, trying to solve solutions and put your responses back to them.
Yeah, and I think ultimately as an organization, we are a content business. And I say that because a lot of what both Tim and I do is obviously heavily focused on technical content and what's happening within the industry at any point in time. So we're writing articles, we're doing videos, doing podcasts, presenting at events and within our own events and stuff as well. And therefore, not only does that education sort of come out the back of the years of experience that Tim and I have, but we're now starting to innovate and look at ways in which we can leverage a lot of that content that we've built, not only today, but over the many years that we've not only had the Smarter SMSF business, but even before that. And that's where we are beginning to look at things like AI and what role that can play in terms of not only technical support, but also support through course-based content that we have online as well. And we'll touch on some of that a little bit later in today's session. So ultimately, in terms of how we deliver our CPD training, has had a small change for the 2023-2024 year. Some of you historically have known that we've run webinars virtually every month, whereby we have, an ongoing structure of our quarterly SMSF technical updates, our changing face of SMSF that we run in March, June, September, and December. And then in between, we had a number of specialist topics. Now, our quarterly training, our changing face of SMSF still does exist, but we're not running sessions each and every month. Yes, we are running things like our SMSF tax planning, we'll run our federal budgets and those sort of things. But one of the real areas that we wanted to introduce, which we see as a significant benefit to our membership, and a lot of it came from feedback, is the fact that we've moved from simply running webinars every month to now tucking in a masterclass each and every quarter, or ultimately 3 times over the year, because that 4th one is our live SMSF Day events that we run in March and April each year. So our masterclasses are something that have been introduced this financial year, and we have done our first one in August, which was our annual compliance masterclass. And these are all case study focused. And we are using that one case study throughout the year as we look to break down and identify different issues as we go through the facts of our Malthouse Family and Little Brewers Super Fund. So we do have a masterclass in November. And again, we'll be looking at the topic of contributions as we work through that. And the reason why we do it that way is to really give some consistency and approach. And a lot of the feedback that we get from users is around the fact that it's how do we actually apply the knowledge that we already have and then expand on that, and how can we do it in a way in which we can start to work through issues. And that's where the case studies, the flow charts, and the answer booklets and stuff become significantly advantageous to our members, and they are included as part of that membership. And then the last limb to, I guess, the overall CPD training solutions is our self-paced e-learning. And this is where we have our SMSF Essentials course. SMSF Essentials course was previously branded as our SMSF Foundations course. We'll touch on why that change happened earlier, but we note that many people have different ways of learning, so that e-learning focus, allowing you to go through self-paced education, is something that people see as hugely advantageous. And again, we're looking at a range of additional courses to be able to support people in there. So all of that information that I've just gone through is readily available through the Smarter SMSF learning platform. And then when we have events that can be accessed, you can naturally go and see what's coming up and register for those events through the Smarter SMSF website as well. So David, I might hand over to you here to maybe go through what to expect as a CPD member.
Right, thank you, Sarah. So with the as you can see on the screen there, it's across multiple devices, and that's not just the delivery of each of the sessions, but also if you're accessing those as an ongoing, as per one of the courses or masterclasses, as an example. So it does cater for the ability to self-pace learning, as well as the live events. So just wanted to make sure that those of you who have access to our platform, it's important that you have your emails all covered, so things go into your inbox, not your junk folder, because I have multiple calls leading up to events where people are at the last minute trying to access as a member or non-member, and they're new to the platform, and they haven't confirmed their email access, so that's important. But as for the expectation as members, it is important that we can communicate to you through your emails that you are aware of events. For the webinars, you will receive notification of the event coming, but at the same time, you'll also include a link to one-click registration. So you are invited to every single event by clicking attending, and if perhaps on the day you're unable to attend, you will be sent notification. And all of this is housed in your learning platform, which we'll go into shortly to have a look exactly where all those things are housed. Post-event, again, follow-up notification of perhaps slides or workbooks or recordings of events. Everything is recorded and housed in that learning library for our members.
Yep. And the masterclass, David, I think it's just there is a slight tweak to that approach. So one of the things that we do is we've built a resource page, given that there is additional materials and information that we provide, including the case study and answers and so forth. So what we end up doing here is, rather than sending the slides out an hour before, for example, like you see with a webinar, we do set up this event page for you, or the event page in essence, and then you can go through, download the pre-reading, work through some of those things, and then understand some of the activities and stuff that we'll be having. And then after the event, we'll be uploading a range of additional things for you that support the sessions that we've just run as well. So there is a slight tweak between the two processes, but ultimately the registration is a simple one click to get you in as a member, rather than having to go through a purchasing process each and every time where you do on a pay-as-you-go basis.
And that's also important, the differential between a pay-as-you-go versus a regular member of our CPD is that those events that you are unable to attend are housed, that you can go into the learning management system and at your own pace, at your own time, work through those events, the recordings, complete the assessment and receive the CPD allocation as well. So I often have discussions a number of times a week where members are calling me to say, my access is about to run out. I'm desperate to finish. I haven't looked at it. I've been distracted with life events. Can you extend for me? And obviously the answer to that is yes. And working with those members to extend the time, because they might get to a particular session in the recorded environment on the platform at a later time, and they realize, wow, there's a lot of material here, a lot of really good technical knowledge that I've got to apply and learn. So that's when the timing does get away from them, and they need to have a chat.
Yep. Yeah. And I think from a member point of view, a lot of those things don't really then come about because you've got access to it 24/7. So once you've attended live sessions, then you will get that CPD certificate typically within the 2 business days thereafter. Build a lot of automation around that process for you. And I think, as David touched on before, if you can't attend, all of the webinars and the masterclasses and so forth are available within the platform within a couple of business days. So and if you need to go and do that online, then the only difference from a CPD perspective is that you must then complete the CPD assessment or the quiz. And then upon completion, you'll get access to the certificate from there. And again, from that point of view, all the workbooks, checklists, flowcharts, and other resources are all available within the relevant resources sections inside the masterclass or inside the webinars and so forth. So you've got ready access to do that and to get that information for you. And then again, we have a tracking on there for you to access and see what you have completed, where you can download those certificates. And therefore, if you need to kind of work back to see what you've done with us, you can do so and see that there as well.
I also just add there, Aaron, that I've had members who complete courses and want to go back into the system to review another piece of technical information, and you actually can do so. So there might be a time limit, but or that when you do complete the course, you still have access to the materials.
Yep,
as a resource library.
Yep. So as we touched on before, the masterclasses are a new feature of our CPD solutions for this year. And again, it is included as part of our CPD regular and CPD business subscriptions, also available on a pay-as-you-go basis. So just a little bit of insight as to what these are all about. They are 3-hour sessions streamed live. As we said, we do record those, so they go up into the learning platform. Both Tim and myself work together on these masterclasses, so you get 2 for the price of 1, in essence, in terms of the technical knowledge and education. I think you can see there, one of our members, David, the feedback that he provided is the fact that the interaction between Tim and myself to be able to look at, identify the issues and the concepts, the questions that were coming through, is where that real value sits for individuals. So that we have our case study. It is that uniform case study that we're providing throughout these masterclasses. There is interaction. There are a number of activities that will be developed and therefore form part of the discussions that we have within the masterclass. It's not just all Tim and I. There is a lot of discussion that we're having online with our attendees of these sessions. And as I said before, there is dedicated pages around the resources for you to access and then readily go back to. If you didn't watch it all, or you want to go back to at any point in time, that information up on the website or the platform within typically 2 or 3 days as well. So again, we see a number of people, and I think, David, you've seen this quite a few times. People have signed up for the masterclass, and then you've gone, well, do you realize we're actually doing these several times a year, and they're like, no, I had no idea. And ultimately, they've decided to sign up for the CPD package to not only benefit them, but to benefit other staff in their organisation.
That's right. They've attended to, well, they're signing up for the next one on the 15th of November, and they don't realise that they're included with some of the CPD packages. May I also add that this was really born out of our face-to-face events early in the year that Aaron and Tim presented a day. There was a lot to take in on the day. That some of the feedback, some of the participants mentioned, it was too much great material. So that's where Tim and Aaron recorded the slides, and the whole concept was born of a masterclass. And so now there's from all the feedback from those face-to-face events and now the case study, it's just built upon all the different things that can happen within an SMSF environment, that they're becoming more popular. And yeah, the feedback is, it just keeps rolling in after each of the events of further and further sessions and topics.
Yeah, and we see things obviously like pensions to be covered. We see estate planning and death benefits. We see property as a topic. There are a number of things that we can ultimately go through. And then each year we would look at our annual compliance version of it, noting all the changes that we might see year upon year as well. And then speaking of other things that are happening within the business is that we are repurposing our course content. So as many of you would know, we had our foundations course as part of the bringing on Tim into this role. We have rebranded that into the essentials course that you can see in the middle there. And ultimately, the recognition of this is that course fits into those individuals that are not starting the journey, but those that are public practitioners, advisors, and so forth, that need to understand the essentials to navigate your way around the SMSF industry. And what that has meant is that we've now taken this starter, smarter, smartest approach, whereby we are peeling back that essentials course to deliver a new foundations course, which we expect to have finished by the end of next month. And that is peeling it back to about 10 hours around what is foundational or fundamental levels of knowledge on SMSFs. So starter concept. So new graduates, admin staff, offshore teams, and so forth would certainly benefit from that process. 6 modules, 10 hours. Our essentials course already is 7 modules and around 18 hours, has been updated to July 2023. And then the final climb in our mountain that you can see here to your SMSF specialization is our advanced course, where we are quite clearly mapping this into the SMSF Association Specialist designation. It'll be 20 plus hours. There will be recognition of prior learning and naturally a huge number of credits towards the SSA certification as well. And we're working with the SMSF Association across all 3 courses, both in the context of some complimentary 12-month memberships for those in the Foundations and Essentials course, and then naturally the recognition of prior learning towards the SSA qualification as well. So that's really the remit of our education at the moment and where we're heading, in addition to the other content that we spoke about before with our masterclasses and so forth as well. So there's a little bit about our essentials course there. We do have a range of other sessions that we do run around the essentials course, so you can jump online and have a look at those on our YouTube channel or on our website at any point in time. So I'm scooting through that because I do want to move into our demo. Yep.
As a quick one on that last slide, Aaron, I actually do contact all participants to make sure that they're working through the course in a timely fashion, or any questions along the way. Also, if it is a firm that might have a number of members going through these courses, I can produce a progress report for them as well of how they're tracking. So we can talk about those. If there are more than one person going through a course, we can do some reporting as well.
Yep, excellent. All right, well, let's go to here. So hopefully people can now see our screen here in respect to our learning platform. And David, I might get you to sort of walk through. I'll drive and you can
Sure.
do some talking around this.
All right. I look at this screen broken up into different sections.
Yep.
Straight away, you can see that very middle part of the screen is the events that you've perhaps purchased and have access to. So in this case here, it could be the Essentials course. There's a masterclass. That could be something that was running from August. That was the last session. So the recording and the access is still available there. Webinars continuously being added to, so access available. So any events that are current, if you've a pay-as-you-go, you'll still have the same visual, but as members, we'll soon see there's so much more involved as a subscriber. So that's the middle of the screen. A quick glance to the right-hand side. You've got a bit of a dashboard happening here on the courses, number of CPD, allocation, completed, what's in progress. Below that dashboard, you can see the courses that you've recently completed or that you've actually commenced and haven't concluded with yet. There are also the availability you can see in the progress or completed that you can access your CPD certificates as well. So it is a dashboard of quick referencing depending on what you're working on at that stage to work through. Left-hand side up towards the top is the main menu area. So straight away, a lot of people may sign up and look at our platform and arrive in a purple zone. That is the documents platform. The green is associated with the learning platform. Straight away, as you click learn, you can see if you click courses, you have all the courses that you've purchased or are available as a member. The masterclass, you're actually going into each of those events that have been purchased. So back on that learn section, if you click and to expand that, you can go into masterclass. We'll have a quick look at this. You can see it's been purchased and it's still available. I mentioned before, if someone has completed, it's still available as a reference library. Once you've opened that masterclass, in this example, you have a bit of a tuition of navigation from Aaron, an introduction, just to get familiar with the environment. Again, it's all self-paced across multiple technologies, so desktop, pad, notepad, or even phone. From there, you'll look at each of the sessions if they're broken down into chapters or different recording modules. And as you click, it will start playing. So the first thing to do, and this is the same with the Essentials or Foundation course, it could be the face-to-face that you've purchased as well, and the masterclass. They all work in the same fashion, that you have the slides, and at the top of those slides of the recording, you have the resources and materials. So each of the lessons have and may have multiple resources, and we can see there in that materials section, it will have potentially the case study, the checklist, copies of the slides. Those each of those resources may actually have links within your invite email as a member. So that's another benefit of being a CPD member. This is a checklist for the session, and these materials are online, so you've got the option of printing those off, or if they are a PDF, there could be a potential that in some cases in the activities, you can actually type in directly onto your screen. At the end of each of those lessons, you'll find a CPD quiz that you need to complete. There will be, as you start that, it's all multiple choice. Could be 2 or 3 attempts at the assessment piece, multiple choice using the references as a guide for the material or the actual recordings. If there is something you would like to check with us or you're unsuccessful, then you can engage with us, myself directly, or to creating a support ticket. Ultimately, once it is completed, a certificate is available. And that's broken down into the different knowledge areas based on the type of event and session.
Yeah, so you can see the breakdown that we have for the various legislated areas, the knowledge areas, and then for hours and so forth. So our 3-hour webinar actually is 4 hours of accredited CPD, because there is additional reading materials that we expect for you to prepare. There is also answer booklets and other things that come with the session that therefore allow us to award the additional time, noting that you would spend an extra hour once you work through all of those additional pieces of information there as well. So all of the access here ultimately comes down to the ability for you to have either A, be a member to then see this stuff, or B, you have purchased it that gives you a prescribed amount of time to be able to access it and watch it through to completion. So we're not entirely ruthless around if someone hasn't watched it within the prescribed period that has bought it pay as you go, that we will turn it off. But naturally, the benefit of being a member is that you get access to it for as often or as long as you want to be able to do that as well. So, and that applies the same in respect to the webinars here as well. So again, you can come in here, you can look at all the webinars and stuff that we have, but until you actually have the ability to be a member, then access to the content that you'll see here will not visually display. So you have a very similar path here, whereby you have, again, the session, talking through the relevant topic. You've got the materials here, and you have the CPD assessment that sits underneath it. And again, once that process is completed, then you'll be able to access the CPD certificate for you to view at any point in time as well. So that process is consistent in terms of masterclasses and webinars. And then from a courses point of view, there is a bit more of a self-paced process to this. So whether it's, you're attending what was our SMSF day that David spoke about earlier, you're doing the essentials course, all of these sorts of things are developed in an e-learning format. So you can see this might look the same here, but once you get into the various modules, things do look very different in terms of the visual and what you can and can't access. Here, you can see it's in a self-paced environment, and then you have the various resources and information available in here to work through, as much as you get the audio and visual displays throughout the module. And again, a lot of these have now been updated through to July of 2023, and enabling you to obviously take advantage of everything that is relevant in those particular modules in that essentials course.
Yep.
So,
and depending where you you think, oh, I've got a client coming in now, or it's the end of the day, it will save where you've left, and basically when you go back in, it will ask the question, do you want to continue where you last left off? Absolutely. And away you go. So it will keep pace where you're actually working through each of those, but depending on the session, what part of the session and the event you're through. So very handy. Yep. And yeah, asking questions along the way. It's as I said, it's all. And there is one other thing that comes to mind. It does have interactive learning within the courses as well. So it's not just at the end of each of the modules there's an assessment piece. Some of those have other interactive learning built in to even further emphasize your knowledge. Some of those resources for Foundation and Essentials have links out to websites, which are very handy. From a learning perspective, because you bookmark those if it's an ATO link, that later on when you've completed the course and you're working in a business, you take that knowledge with you to apply to different scenarios dealing with clients.
Yeah, so one of the things that we are looking to add, I touched on before, is around AI. So we are currently doing some development work whereby we'll be inserting some sort of AI bot into here. We'll call it Smarty or Smarter AI or something to that extent. And what you're going to be able to do is, as you're working through this content for the course, you'll be able to, and you're trying to maybe understand it a little bit further or wanting to look at stuff in just that little bit more detail, you're going to be able to start to ask the bot questions that you have, and using obviously the natural language of something like ChatGPT 4. you'll be able to then have a conversation with that bot that will continue to learn as we go along as well. So this is where I come back to, we are a content-based business, because what we have the opportunity to do is to put a lot of that content into these machines and allow it to learn to be able to do the questions, answer the questions that you might be asking around your ongoing education journey. So we're going to be doing that not only within the education, but also across our document platform as well. So a few exciting things that we've got that we're looking forward to as part of our course content rollout over the next few months as well. So the other bit here, just maybe to wrap up this area, David, is just the knowledge base. So if you ever want to look up something about, say, a user guide to access the course, a lot of these sort of things are all readily available in here. So you've got these user guides about the course or about the online course, or how you can access a particular webinar, and so on and so forth. So if you ever are struggling to navigate your way around, you can always go to that knowledge base and then start to search up things in here. And then again, we can step you through and help you sort of understand how this all actually works. And you will have seen a lot of these things already as we were showing you in the session there. So we might now head back, David. I think we've covered everything in here really about navigating around the platform. So I might just head back to our slides. Let's jump back to there. So we've got our, had our demo. So now let's move on to, I guess you've seen what it looks like. What are some of the benefits? So why do people become subscribers under our CPD packages? And quite clearly, we've identified here that you do get access as a member to all of our online content. So that is our webinars and our masterclasses and so forth. Our course content is not included as part of that membership, but you do get member-based discounts around access to those courses. You do also get priority access to our face-to-face events. Our SMSF days are very popular. We did have 2 states earlier this year that sold out in advance. We weren't able to increase the room capacity. So members with access early can obviously register early, and they get a discounted price, member-only price, that carries through for the duration of that registration process. Hopefully we've highlighted to you the fact that you can access the platform. You've got webinar playbacks. You get access to the additional materials. You can get your CPD assessments and certificates upon successful completion of the quizzes. And you can run a log, as you could see on the dashboard as well, of what you've done and the hours that were allocated for those particular things as well. And naturally, we've got the ability for you to be able to answer questions through our CPD and business sort of support packages as well. So David, I might get you to quickly navigate then through this assessment process to help people identify where they might fit in this journey, to maybe whether it's a CPD quarterly subscription they might want, through to our CPD regular or business type programs.
That's right. So this matrix was born out of the idea of working through this diagram of, well, what's the need I have? So, and ultimately, what is the product result? And it also boils down to the question of, well, is it for yourself, another team member, or multiple team members within a business? So it does cater for all those aspects. So looking at that initial need and working through that structure of hours, the type of an update, simply an update of CPD hours, or is it something further, structured learning? And that's where you're moving across, answering yes to those questions about the specialist range of topics. And through that process, you're actually starting to narrow down through hours and the content and the knowledge, working through to perhaps CPD regular, business, or support. Now, with that, I'll come back to the CPD quarterly, but working through those hours and the depth of knowledge, you're looking at ultimately, is it for yourself or a team? our CPD business module and product actually goes through 5 members. And we'll look at a couple of case studies on the back of this actually shortly of how the expansion of that CPD business does fit with a business. But if it is for yourself, the question is it just I've got existing CPD, so accessing Tim and Aaron for a quick update, a couple of webinars a year, that's all I need. So you'll end up with that result of a CPD quarterly. Or if it is a further range of CPD hours and in-depth knowledge, then you'll end up with that result of a CPD regular product.
Yep, absolutely. I think one of the important things to note, whilst we have our CPD business here that we have set at 5 users, we do have organizations that have more than that. So, we kind of have to pick a number and sort of publish a price. But what we do have is we have different organizations that have different needs based upon their size and the number of staff that might need CPD. So you could almost think of CPD business as a function of number of users, and then we can obviously put some price points around that. A lot of this was born out of the COVID period where there was people now working at home and they were still needing to get their CPD, and therefore the number sort of sat at around 5 there for users to be able to access that. So as you can see here, we do have sort of 3 of those core CPD products that are available. David touched on them as we walk through the diagram just before. You can see there our CPD quarterly really is our changing face of SMSF updates, March, June, September, and December. Our CPD regular and CPD business not only captures those, but then introduces our masterclass events, also introduces our other sessions like tax planning and the like as well. And you can see there the minimum CPD hours that we guarantee. And even though we might have peeled back our CPD regular and business sessions, so the number of sessions, the outcome is you actually end up with more CPD hours now than what we were previously doing. So where we might be providing 3 hours, or 3 masterclasses, I should say, instead of maybe 6 webinars, we're now doing 3 lots of 4 hours, which is 12 hours, as opposed to maybe 6 one-hour webinars, which was only 6 hours, maybe 8 hours in some instances where you added in some additional resources that went with those. So you're actually getting more bang for your buck, and a lot of the information and feedback that we've got is that our masterclasses are a much better way of delivering that education, in particular for a certain threshold of individual that has an implied level of knowledge versus those that may be going through their education journey where something like self-paced learning with the foundations course or the essentials course is a much better suited program to them. So the fact that we're building this smarter framework that not only can apply to our course content, but is going to more broadly apply to all of our CPD solutions as well.
And just a note, Aaron, when you think about it, if you're looking at this today and looking at this slide and you think, well, okay, this is great, I'm going to become a member, take up a subscription, I'm looking forward at the next event. Well, you actually have access to all the past events as well in the learning platform. And Aaron just mentioned something called a tax planning webinar held in May of each year. It's very popular from a pay-as-you-go, as it's a 90-minute webinar with a 36-page checklist that goes with it. So becoming a member, you have access to that entire library and catalog. So there's more than one benefit of just, oh, well, I'm just looking at this next masterclass event. You've got the previous masterclass events and all those webinars to tap into as well.
Yeah, so anything from an SMSF association point of view, anything within the last 12 months would naturally then get your CPD. If you are an SMSF association member, would be recognised with the accreditation certificate and code that is applied as part of the successful completion. But there are other topics that we have on the platform that maybe go back 2 and 3 years and so forth. And whilst there is not official accreditation as such that would be issued for the completion of that, and I'm talking about that in, say, an SMSF association context, it does actually count still towards unstructured hours. So you might have some unstructured hours that form part of your ongoing professional development requirements, advisor, accountant, or whatever the case may be. And you might go in and go, well, I need to refresh myself on the topic of residency within SMSFs. Now, that's a topic that hasn't moved that much, but we have that as a topic on the platform. And therefore, you could go back and watch that, not only refresh your knowledge, but then have some unstructured CPD hours that would be allocated in that vein as well. So we do, when we put together our program, we do take on board the feedback of our members throughout the year. The feedback comes back pretty consistent. They want to hear about contributions, pensions, and estate planning, but we then try to wrap up a whole range of other things that we see as current at this point in time, and then dropping those in as either sessions or bringing those into the masterclasses and our other events that we run each and every month as well. So, David, let's now move on to some case studies here as we kind of get towards the back end of today's session, and just to show the differences that we see in the way in which people become members and approach the different packages that are available.
That's right. And this example here, it goes beyond that matrix where you're putting in that practical of, well, Jackie's got a team of 8 people. Once together in a boardroom through that COVID experience, they were located in different areas. It could be nationally or locally. That team-based training is therefore limited. So in this example here, an individual subscription through CPD Regular doesn't fit Jackie's requirements. So she has chosen a CPD business package, which provides up to 5 certificates, CPD certificates for those 5 members who are associated with that subscription.
Yeah, and if it was 8 and they need the 8, well, then the CPD business package can adjust naturally to the 8 as well. So it is flexible in that regard. Ultimately, in this situation, we end up with a CPD business solution.
That's right. In this second example, Jackie has an individual subscription at the moment, a CPD Regular, access to that training, a number of other staff members who now require those additional CPD certificates. With that expansion, therefore, from an economics perspective, a CPD business package is better suited with Jackie's requirements and her team.
So one of the things there is that we sometimes get individuals or businesses that get that one subscription. They might go and watch it all together. We are only responsible for issuing the CPD certificate for the one individual that has that registration. So over time, and it does happen with members, where we had one recently that had, I think only 1 or 2 that were maybe registered, and all of a sudden they now needed 10 of their different staff to be added on because they each need CPD to meet their ongoing professional development requirements, whether they're whatever bodies that they relate to. So therefore, we're able to simply dial up that subscription for them so that now each of them that attend get recognised. And if they don't attend live, they have their own login and they can go into the learning platform to be able to get that access as and when they need to and be able to get the certificate that they need to as well.
That's right. And with that multiple access, each of those members of the CPD business do have a login to the learning platform as well. That's important.
And they also get that one-click registration process as if they were a member in their own right, but it's obviously tagged them and grouped them back to the organisation that they're working for.
Third scenario is that Jackie is keeping up to date with the legislative requirements, technical professional standards, attends CPD and other CPD outside our organisation. So in this case here, Jackie is looking to expand her opportunities of CPD and I guess tapping into Tim and Aaron's knowledge. So in this case here, she's decided to settle with a CPD quarterly, receiving those 4 webinars over 6 hours of CPD per annum.
So it's just a kind of a top up in that instance. It might be getting some other stuff and just getting some different views. We sometimes see clients sign up in that regard as well. So I guess as we come to some conclusions here around today's session, just a couple of final FAQs that you can see here. I think we've probably answered a lot of these as we go along. The platform is fully mobile responsive, so you can do your education on a tablet, you can do it on a PC, you can do it on a mobile phone. If you're sitting on a train, probably not whilst you're driving, but you can do it in, I guess, the many forms. And that's part of the very deliberate approach that we did in making the site mobile responsive. We have different tiers of education for different types of professionals that sit within the marketplace. I spoke before about our course content in that smartest concept. That is something that we're going to continue to evolve in the business, noting that we do have different levels of education and knowledge that is required to be offered in this marketplace. From a CPD perspective, I did mention earlier, we are an accredited educator with the SMSF Association. Our hours also count for the major accounting bodies, Tax Practitioners Board. For ASIC, we also include, well, it was the FASEA knowledge areas, it's now the CPD legislated areas, and then audit hours as well. And I guess the last couple of things here, again, just relate to the fact that, yes, you could take a single subscription, but it is linked to that individual. So therefore, talking within the team about what might be relevant, and then David can naturally go through with you and get the right fit in terms of that product as well. So we don't limit the fact that you might turn up to a webinar, even our masterclass, and you may sit in a room with 5, 10, 50 people. But again, it comes back to who are we issuing the CPD for? And therefore that is what our core responsibility is as delivering that membership. Above and beyond that ultimately will rest with you. But we do simply note that you consider that economic benefit of taking up the subscription and to benefit some of the other members that may have obligations above and beyond what that one single subscription might do.
And I just had a thought on that second point there, where existing members will call me and say, look, I've got a new staff member, I've got someone who's looking at perhaps moving into administration in the business, so would like to put them through a foundation or a essentials course. So it may not be that regular or business side just yet. They're not up to that up to speed with that capacity. So they're going to go through the courses and then keep up to date by going on board, perhaps with the CPD business as a part of the existing structure.
Yep, yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really good comment. All right, so some key takeaways, hopefully, from today's session for you. So we know that everyone's busy. Being busy creates some real challenges for keeping up to date. So how you structure your education in this space is really important. And it's not only that education for you, it's how it's translated across the team, and therefore enables you to take advantage of the opportunities and highlight those issues with your existing and potential new SMSF clients. So therefore, timing of information is crucial, and the relevancy of that information and having it from a source that you can trust is absolutely a crucial element of why we do what we do at Smarter SMSF. We do what we do to enable you to focus on what you do best, and we allow you to really tap into our insights, the fact that we are, in many instances, first to know in the industry and in the know in respect to many of the issues that are happening within the industry, getting involved in discussions with Treasury and with the ATO, and our active involvements with the SMSF Association puts us right at the very, very pointy end of conversations that are happening within this industry and where we may be heading with relevant topics as well. And that's why we then deliver these different solutions to serve the different parts of the industry. And it's not only getting you up to date, but it's enabling you to grow as a practitioner as well. And we do that through the various means. It's face-to-face events, it's live webinars, it's masterclasses, it's e-based learning, all of the various ways in which we believe we can help you to equip yourself to deal with SMSFs to the best of your ability. And it's that specialization that we have. And then when we combine that with the suite of products and the technologies that we have, then is all about our mantra of helping you to deliver and comply with the regulations efficiently and cost effectively. So David, I guess as we start to wrap up, any sort of final comments that you want to make from today's session?
No, it's really a case of if you have questions or, chatting with me to work out a solution to your CPD requirements.
Yep, absolutely. Well, that's it. We always do say smart people stick together and also learn together. We do have a range of things coming up. Like I said, our next masterclass is on the 15th of November. We do have a range of other sessions coming up right through to the end of the calendar year. You can see there we have a current state of play with SMSF investment strategies. Towards the back end of November, we have our final changing face of SMSF on the 6th of December, and we have our Smartest course update, where we'll be going through in more detail the course-based content for our new foundations course, and obviously the updates with our essentials course as well. And I do encourage you, all of these sort of sessions that we hold do go up on our YouTube channel. So make sure you follow that, subscribe. We do also have our Feeling Smarter weekly video series. Tim and I talk to a specific SMSF topic, maybe a member question and so forth, and unpack that over a 5 to 8 minute conversation. A whole range of other how-to videos and so forth as well. So go to our YouTube channel and you'll be very surprised with just how much valuable content is there as well. So thank you, David, for being a part of today's session. Thank you to you that have joined us for today. Hope you have a great rest of the week, and we look forward to seeing you at an event in the near future. Take care and bye for now.